Hi, I'm Tom. I'm the founder of BTEX. This video is all about the Xperia 5 Mark II. We've just watched the live event, so we have all the information. And I want to know what you think of the phone, and just as importantly, if not more importantly, let's compare it to the specs as we think they're going to be for the Pixel 5 and the iPhone 12, even 12 Pro, because actually, in terms of US pricing especially, they're not that far apart. Let's get into it right now. Oh, by the way, if you're not subbed, make sure you hit the subscribe button right now and the notification bell, because very, very soon we are flying from here in Panama City to Miami, Florida, and we're going to be getting the phone in hand, and we will be doing an amazing number of comparison videos, camera guides, all the kind of stuff we do here that we've already done with the Xperia 1 Mark II. Okay, so do that, and let's get into the 5 Mark II right now. Cheers. Okay, so first of all, I want to give you some good news and some bad news, just so we know what we're dealing with here. The good news is that the battery has gone up from 3,140 milliamp hours up to 4,000, which for a phone that's even thinner than last year's model, and so small anyway, I mean, we know it's a tiny phone, that is epic, absolutely wonderful news. Really happy that Sony pulled that off. The other great news is that the price is lower than it was for the previous model, £799 in the UK, $949 in the USA. So far, so good. So what's the bad news? Well, the bad news is that wireless charging has gone. It's not here at all. And the 4K screen that we had and absolutely loved on the Xperia 1 Mark II, that's gone too. Here on the 5 Mark II, it's just Full HD+. Now that does not worry me at all. The loss of wireless charging, that's a little bit more of an issue for me. Is it a deal breaker? I'm not going to say it's a deal breaker, but I have a worry that it will be for a lot of people. I'd love to know what you think. Let me know in the comments. I'll see you there. So the Xperia 5 Mark II comes in two colours, black and blue, although it's worth noting blue is only available online. That may change in the future, and there may be more colours in the future. I hope so, because I have a feeling that for a lot of people colours are really important, and Apple, and I think to a lesser extent Google as well with their Pixel lineup, will have more colours to offer. By the way, the 5 Mark II will be available for pre-order from October the 1st, and I believe you'll be able to buy it in store from the 12th of October, so that's pretty good news. Design-wise, it's very, very similar to last year's model, although, and by the way, all of the commenters we have here, the subscribers at BTEC, noticed within about half a second that this is a much more rounded off design. If you look at the corners here, this is because Sony wants the device to be as comfortable as possible to hold. Interesting. I mean, I think it's a fair point. I can't wait to get the device in hand to let you know if it feels better in hand. All I would say though is that the Xperia 1 Mark II, as far as I'm concerned, feels just absolutely fine in hand. I've got no problem with the corners whatsoever, so I'm a little bit surprised that they went down that route. So the display is 6.1 inches, 21 by 9 of course. That's the way Sony does things, and I love it. It's not 4K as we said, but you know what? I'm absolutely fine with that, because 99% of the time, I don't know, possibly, what we're going to be watching is going to be Full HD Plus anyway, so I think that's great. HDR is here as well, of course, creator mode, all the good stuff. I mean, this is going to be, I'm absolutely sure, a fantastic looking display. What I love about the display also is the 120 Hz refresh rate. I mean, that is superb news. Really happy about that. And just before we move on to the audio chops of this device, I just want to say that if you're a gamer, and I'm the world's worst gamer, just to be upfront and honest with you about that, apparently this device can emulate 240 Hz refresh rate by introducing additional black frames when required. I mean, I need to get my head around just what that is like. I mean, I need to experience it to tell you if that's any good. In fact, I need a proper gamer to tell you what that's like, and we can arrange that. But either way, that's pretty amazing. Now let's get into the audio. So Dolby Atmos, I mean, if you've seen our speaker comparison video, you know that the Sony Xperia is a fantastic sounding device, the Xperia 1 Mark II. We've also got a headphone jack, 3.5mm of course, high-res audio is supported, LDAC support for wireless earphones. If you've got like pretty average sounding material being played on the device, the enhancement engine will make it sound better, 360-degree reality audio, and if you've never used Tidal but you want to give it a go, actually for the UK anyway, I don't know about the US, I hope so, you get 3 months free Tidal subscription. That's a really nice touch, grateful for that. So in terms of the audio here, just like the Xperia 1 Mark II, we've got a lot of really good stuff here. Dolby Atmos, the headphone jack is massive of course. I mean, how many phones even have that headphone jack these days? Not many, especially at the high end like this. High-res audio, LDAC support for wireless, the enhancement engine to make, you know, not very good quality music sound better, 360 reality audio, 3 months Tidal subscription as well, which I wasn't expecting. I think that's a really nice touch. Thank you, Sony. Now let's talk about the power and the performance, because look, I'm going to get onto the pricing and how this phone compares against the Pixel 5 and the iPhone 12 lineup. But let's not forget, this packs the 865 Qualcomm Snapdragon. I mean, this is not the most powerful phone in the world, but my goodness, it is very close. And it's got to be the most powerful compact phone in the world, right? I mean, can you think of anything this small that is this powerful? I don't think I can. 128 gig storage straight out the box, 8 gigs of RAM. It's a 5G device, and you've also got the way Sony does things, of course, with looking after the battery for the long term, which is great. I know a lot of people here who've commented at BTEX in the comments section below. They keep their devices for up to 5 years, so looking after the battery, that's a nice touch. You will need to buy a fast charger if you want to get the most out of fast charging, but again, that's fair. I think that's fair. So how powerful is this device? Well, I think it's just about the most powerful compact device on the market in many ways. I mean, again, we're going to come on to the iPhone 12 a bit later on, but what have we got here? 865 Qualcomm Snapdragon. I mean, look, that's seriously quick. There's no two ways about it. 8 gigs of RAM, 128 gig storage, by the way. That's the base. I mean, that's it. So that's great. 5G modem support, which is really important for a lot of people. Certainly for future-proofing, that's great. If you want to make the most of the fast charging, you'll need to buy a separate charger. That's fine. I'm not worried about that. Again, as I mentioned at the very beginning of the video, there's no wireless charging. That's going to upset some people. There's even Sony is really good at making sure that you look after the battery for the long term, which I really like. From a hardware perspective, I know a lot of people here in the comments are using their Xperia devices for up to 5 years, so that's great. There's even an option here to make sure that the battery never charges over 90%. And given that the battery, given it's a 4,000 milliamp hour battery, that should protect you for many years. I love that. So let's talk about the camera tech. 12 megapixels across the board, just like the 1 Mark II. 16mm ultra wide, 24mm primary, 70mm telephoto. That's all great. I suspect, like the 1 Mark II, it's going to take beautiful, natural-looking pictures and video. I absolutely well, I tell you what, the 1 Mark II is my phone of the year so far. So, I mean, I adore that phone. I'm very excited about the 5 Mark II. The 8-megapixel selfie camera on the front. I hope it's better than on the 1 Mark II, because I thought that was rubbish. So what else is there to shout about here as far as the camera tech is concerned? Well, one thing I like is the fact that the eye autofocus for animals as well as humans is still here, and my goodness, it works incredibly well. We've really enjoyed using that with a dog and a cat, actually, as well as some humans. 20 frame per second burst mode is great, real-time autofocus and exposure. I mean, there's so much good stuff here. The low light sensor is actually larger this time around, and the noise reduction tech is improved. So low light photography, you may have seen our low light special with the Xperia 1 Mark II. Low light photography is going to be even better with this device. That's great news. And maybe you saw our raw photography video with the 1 Mark II, but here's the thing I love here with the 5 Mark II. You're getting RAW and JPEG by default as soon as you go out and start taking pictures. I love that. I mean, this is a phone for those of us who are serious about not just getting great photographs, but getting very natural photographs, and video for that matter, that really looks as true to reality as it's possible to get. I mean, we compared the 1 Mark II with a mirrorless camera from Sony, the A7 III, and the results were surprisingly similar. This is an incredibly competent phone. So yes, we know that the pro apps for video and photography are really, really good for those of us who want to get into the art and the process and enjoy the process of getting the best possible images and videos, and my goodness, they're a lot of fun. They remain here, of course, with the 5 Mark II. What else have we got here? 120 frames per second slow motion mode. That's cool, isn't it? You can also record in 4K, HDR, all that goodness. That's wonderful. But now, let's get on to how this compares with the upcoming Pixel 5 and iPhone 12 series. Now, of course, I want to stress that I'm recording this before those phones are released, although it's just around the corner, and we will be in Miami to get samples of these phones, and we'll be doing some cracking comparison videos for you. Yeah, look, this is a bit of a tricky one, isn't it? Because the Pixel 5 is rumored to be $699 and 629 euros, depending on how accurate these sources are. That's going to be substantially cheaper than the Xperia 5 Mark II, which is going to be $949. Is that an issue? We know from our tests with the Pixel 4 versus the 1 Mark II that the Google approach is very, very different. The images are not natural in the way that the Sony ones are. They are kind of almost supernatural. They are beautiful, striking images, especially at nighttime, but it's a very, very different approach. Also, the Google approach is obviously all about auto mode. The phone does the work, not you. It's completely different to the Sony approach, but I do worry that Pixel is going to do well here, the Pixel 5, with that lower price point. It's going to be, we think, a 6-inch device, only 90 Hz, probably, again, Full HD OLED just like the Sony. 2 lenses on the back, obviously, not the triple camera setup that we get with the Sony. 5G as well. I don't know, how do you think the Xperia 5 Mark II compares there with the Pixel 5? And also, let's move over now to the iPhone lineup for 2020. Actually, one thing I should have mentioned there with the Pixel 5 is that it's likely we're going to get a Qualcomm Snapdragon 765G processor. There is no way in the world, I cannot imagine that would be anywhere close to as fast as the 865 that we're getting in the 5 Mark II. So that's a massive thing to bear in mind, of course. So the iPhone 12 is going to be 5.4 inches, and the max we think is going to be 6.1. Are we going to get the 120 Hz refresh rate that we get on the Xperia 5 Mark II? I don't know. No one knows really. I think it's possible, but I would be surprised. A14 Bionic chip, okay, we know that's going to be absolutely rapid, probably the fastest of of any device in the world this year. 4 gigs of RAM, I don't even want to really compare that, because I mean, Apple, it's all very different, isn't it, with optimization there. But what is interesting though is that we are looking at potentially a $699 price tag for the regular iPhone 12, and going up to $799 potentially for the 12 Max, but that is obviously a lot less than the 5 Mark II. What worries me is that the regular, if you like, regular sized 12 Pro is likely to be $1049 $1,049. Now, if that's true, it's only $100 more than the 5 Mark II. Probably a 6.1 inch device, although we're not sure at this point, of course. So that gives you an idea as to how these phones stack up. What I want to know, of course, is which ones you would go for if they were all spread out on a table in front of you and you had the money in your pocket. Which one would you choose? Anyway, enough of my voice, let's go to my outro. So what have we learned from this video? Well, one thing we've learned is that both Andres and I are mental enough to get up in the middle of the night and do these videos. We don't need sleep. And the second thing is that actually it's a little bit tough, isn't it, with the Xperia here, on pricing versus features against some of the upcoming competition. What I want to know is, if it was your money on the line, which one of these phones would you buy? Would you go for the 5 Mark II, or do you think you're getting better value from either Google or Apple, or any other manufacturer for that matter? Do let me know in the comments section below. I will see you there as ever. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon from here or Miami, I don't know, but somewhere. Cheers.